Hello, my name is Jesi Bender, and my favorite thing is Victorian architecture.
Welcome to the Finding Favorites podcast, where we explore your favorite things without using an algorithm. Here's your host, Leah Jones.
Hello and welcome to Finding Favorites. I'm your host, Leah Jones, and this is the podcast where we learn about people's favorite things and get recommendations without using an algorithm. Today, my guest is artist Jesi Bender. Jesi is from upstate New York, and her work leans towards experimental historical fiction that interrogates the tension between language's utility and malleability. Her new novel, Child of Light, is being published this year by Whiskey Tip Press, and I am so excited to have her join me. Jesi, how are you doing today?
Great, how are you?
I'm good. It's a beautiful evening in Chicago, and it's coming your way probably. We had like a 12-hour rainstorm last night.
Oh, really? It's been crazy up here this year. It's been nuts. Yeah.
I met friends for dinner, and we were going to go find a patio, and I was like, I don't know, the clouds looked pretty ominous, and there had been no rain in the forecast, and we looked, and it was like rain in 9 minutes. Okay, we will not be going to a patio.
I know, it's hard. It's been a hard summer, at least upstate New York for that. It's been one day after the other, but it's sunny here right now, so I guess we'll take it when we can. Yeah.
So, Jesi, I am excited. Let's dive into it. Child of Light. Before I hit record, you said that the genre is experimental historical fiction, and that you are searching for a new way to describe the genre.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your new novel.
So, yeah. Child of Light, it's set in 1896 in Utica, New York, which is, at that time was a really vibrant, beautiful city. You look at old photographs and it looks like some really quaint European town. You know, it's beautiful, huge, statues and ornate houses and buildings and stuff. There was a lot of beauty to it. The crux of the story is about a girl who's 13. She lived a very privileged lifestyle, but her family's taken a financial downfall, and they're kind of all for the first time converging in the house, this singular house in Utica, and trying to keep up with that kind of strata that they're used to and everything. I wanted to explore kind of the intersection of these two phenomenon that were happening at the time, which I feel like it kind of reflects how we are today, where you've got this huge movement, especially in upstate New York, they used to call it the burned over district, because there were so many religions that were started at that time that moved through from east to west across, we had the canal and everything like that. And so, Mormonism started from some guys up here, and a lot of really wacky Victorian sex cults and crazy things were happening up here. And
wait, is that where Kellogg was? Didn't Kellogg have a compound, and a vegetarian compound with no masturbating?
Right.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know if Kellogg was up here, but it's very similar things, or kind of like there was one that started in the Oneida community. And it was this family called Noyes, Noyes, and it was just a huge commune, and everyone was having sex with each other, and they all raised their kids communally, there were no moms and dads and stuff. And so just all these, there was a guy who was in the book very briefly. He started a religion where we're living inside the earth. When we look up at the sky, we're really looking at the core of the earth, and just a bunch of weird things happening.
Okay.
But there was a big bend towards these religious impulses. In the book, the mom represents kind of spiritualism and seances, and this really desire to touch the unseen and the occult and all that type of stuff. And then the dad represents kind of all the scientific advancements that were happening at the same time. So you have these kind of dual things existing hand in hand with each other, and they seem very disparate. So he is a electrical engineer. He works with like Tesla and Westinghouse and some of those guys who are at the forefront of that. And he, it was on the forefront of domestic electricity, basically. So that was a long preamble, but basically it's like ghosts and electricity and how they
converging. Yeah.
This girl trying to find meaning and through the understanding those two facets because they're such interests for her parents. I mentioned earlier about the fact that no one really likes the label experimental historical fiction, and I've gotten this book has had a long life. I started it in probably 2015. It's been about 10-ish years.
Yeah.
And people who have seen the manuscript before, the experimental people, I've gotten a lot of notes about how they don't want to see anything about the past. They're just interested in things about today. And then on the other side, historical fiction people, it plays with form. It does it has kind of hybrid elements and everything. And so that it tends to, in my experience, have driven those people crazy because they are used to a specific way of reading it. So
if pardon my, a little bit of, so experimental, would that be like House of Leaves, for example?
In that vein.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where like, that's just the one that I don't want to suggest Infinite Jest, but when I think of things that are, so I guess it's when you're playing with form, if that's not what you mean by experimental, help me understand experimental.
No, it's exactly that. To me, I mean,
okay,
you can interpret it, like the topics you're talking about and stuff too. But to me, it's really about telling. I like to think of it as like abstract art, and you're trying to find a way to represent something in a new way, basically. And so that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, it's House of a good example, even though it's not as sprawling as that. But it is like it does have images in there. There's like kind of a lot of talk about like electrical plans, but it tells the story. So it's like switched out. So yeah, it goes all over the place.
Can we take me back to 2015?
Yeah.
What was your first kernel for this book?
So it's what we're probably going to talk quite a bit about it's about I became obsessed with this house in Utica, and it's incredible. Utica is a little downtrodden now, but it's got all of these incredible relics all over the place. So we would drive down Genesee Street, and I'd see this house, and I always told everyone I was with, that's my house. Everyone refers to it as my house, even though I've never been in it and have no ownership over it. But so it's this house and it's this huge looming red brick Victorian with a big turret and imposing stained glass windows, all the little details. And I just wanted to know more about that house. So that's what led it.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. We had some Victorian, the town where I grew up in Indiana had some neighborhoods of Victorian houses that they had worked really hard to make sure that they got historic, like landmark status and that they were the painted ladies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So because 1890s, that puts us in the Victorian era, right?
Yeah.
Or a little after?
I think it's square in, maybe towards the end at the point of the novel and stuff, but it's right at that kind of where people were becoming slightly less stuffy. They were kind of becoming more Edwardian and like big loose chiffons and like more it wasn't super loose, but more looser clothing and that type of stuff for ladies. So yeah, not full blown flapper yet, but edging,
right
that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see this house, you become obsessed with it.
Yes.
Which I love. And then do you start doing research on how do you learn about these, you called it burned over?
Yeah.
About that side of like the spiritualist culture of the area.
Yeah. So for the house itself, I went to, it's kind of funny, almost kitty corner or catty corner, I guess, you guys might say catty. Do you say it?
Kitty.
You say kitty
I
corner.
say kitty corner.
So
as my cat scrambles across the
yeah.
desk.
Almost kitty corner from this house is the Oneida County Historical Society. So I went there and I looked up, who was living there and like what the house number was at that time because things changed. And the person that lived there actually made coffins, or one of the people that lived there made coffins. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do stuff with dead. I want to make a folklore.
Yeah.
I think I've always been interested in ghosts and horror movies and stuff like that. I think where I live, to me, just lends itself to it because we have so many of these old houses and there's a lot of poverty where I live. So there's a lot of old things that they're not probably as well kept up as like you were saying with the painted ladies, but they loom and they seem haunted because they're a little decrepit. So, there's a really cool house in the town that's next to me called Georgetown. It's called the Spirit House. One of the spiritualists made this house, and what's unique about it is, first of all, it looks like a cake. It's got all these really ornate carvings all over, and then in the middle is this like it's not a chimney, but it's like an open pathway, and he did it so the spirits could come into the house and stuff.
Like an atrium almost? Or?
Oh, yeah, but it's just like a big brick shaft in the middle of the house and stuff.
It's a reverse chimney.
Exactly. It's super.
Wow.
So all these cool things, and I'm a librarian, and I just got every single book I could get about it. Yeah, it's really cool.
That's amazing.
Went to Hamilton College's archives too. Give a plug to them. They're in a town right outside of Utica, and they have really cool holdings. And I got a whole bunch of weird seance information and stuff from their collection. Yeah.
This is Cowboy, by the way.
Cowboy.
He loves a podcast record because it means I am sitting still and can pet him for an hour.
Oh, that's so. I all of my people that I work with are all online, and so we have like 15 cat mascots. Yeah. Visit us while we're talking.
Yeah.
That's great.
Over the course of the 10 years working on the book, did it, sometimes I talk to authors and it might be a short story one year, a screenplay the next, and eventually it finds the protagonist finds you or rises out of the drafts, or the form finds it. Did it go through different iterations for you, or have you been working in like experimental, the experimental fiction styles for a while, and you knew whatever story I'm telling, I want to try and tell in a different way?
It didn't change forms necessarily. I'm always interested in women and female identifying people's experience in the world. So I knew I wanted it to be a female character, especially at that time when stereotypically you think of a lot of oppression. So a lot of I had the story, I had the broad points I wanted to hit. The biggest thing that changed for me is I had this whole kind of, is it the Never-Ending Story movie that has like the framing device of the little boy in bed and the grandpa's telling him a story?
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had this whole framing device like that. Where it was like the grandkids are learning the story about this the main character, and then it just got to, you couldn't get to the story quick enough, or at least so that was the biggest thing. I had all this kind of buffer at the front and the end but yeah, other than that, it's just it's gotten edits, but that core thing has been there. Yeah.
Great. And is it what is your publication date?
August 12th, which is
it's coming.
Yeah.
Do you have some celebrations planned, some book launch events planned?
We're doing some readings. I'm doing a reading in Ithaca, which is where I work, at Buffalo Street Books. It's going to be on the Sunday afterwards. I'd love for people to come. And then I will be in the city right after Labor Day, the Tuesday after Labor Day at KGB Bar.
Cool.
And I'm joined with some really cool Stephen Alvarez and Dawn Raffle and Daike Shen. So there'll be some really cool readers reading with me and stuff. I'm a big proponent of small press because I feel like it's outside of this paradigm, or it's not as squarely, I should say, in this paradigm where you have to sell within the first 2 weeks of your publication date, or else people forget about it. I feel like people come to small press and find them all the time. I find small press books 5 years, 10 years later, and I'm like, yeah, amazing. So that's one of the beauties of it. I hope more people can break free of this. I can't pay attention to it if it's 2 months old or something.
Yeah. People continue to go back and listen to author interviews a year, 2 years later on my podcast. So I can assure you people still care about authors outside of their 2-week publishing window.
Good to hear.
Yeah. So again, the novel is Child of Light, and people should pre-order that. I will have a link in the show notes to pre-order. And they should either in Ithaca come find you at Buffalo Street Books, or in New York City at the KGB Bar.
That's
The timing of Child of Light is what got us together today. And also my inability to function after a morning flight. But we're also here to talk about one of your favorite things. So Jesi, what are we here to talk about?
I'm gonna stay on theme, and I'm gonna talk about some Victorian architecture, and maybe too specifically just Utica, New York, and how cool it is. I just love it. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Let's time travel in your life before we time travel with the architecture.
Sure.
When did you go to Utica for the first time? When did it capture you as like a town with things you love in it?
Oh man, that's a really good question. My early memories of Utica were going to, it's no longer called this, but it used to be called the Munson William Proctor Museum. And it's an art museum in upstate New York. We don't have a ton of them, and they do a really beautiful, kind of like, it's got like kind of like a 60s interior and stuff. And it's associated with Pratt. Pratt has a campus.
Oh, yep. Okay.
So there's a school behind it, and that's when I remember going there, probably with my mom and grandma and stuff, and just so early associations with Utica and art.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you're in Chicago. Well, you said you didn't grow up in Chicago, right? You grew up in Indiana.
I grew up in Indiana. Went to school in Illinois, a brief 3 years in Colorado, and then came to Chicago.
Yeah.
So,
where you grew up, was it in a city or was it like small town?
I thought it was a city before I moved to Chicago. We had 2 high schools, and my graduating class was 400 people, so it wasn't a small town.
Yeah.
It was a small city, Terre Haute, Indiana.
Okay.
So we had like 5 universities, and
oh wow, okay.
A tiny women's college, a small men's engineering college that went co-ed my senior year of high school, Indiana State. So we had like schools, we had 2 high schools, so it was like 40,000 people maybe when I was growing up. But it has shrunk.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been shrinking, and industry. It used to have a lot of pharmaceutical industry, and has been leaving. And so with that are the high payer jobs. And
yeah.
So it's definitely it's not in the Rust Belt, but it definitely feels kind of Rust Belty.
Yeah. It sounds though that you were in a better place than me in terms of with sometimes when you have universities you get just proximity to more cultural things, but even just better food and stuff, like that. So
Yeah.
maybe you had that.
Well, Terre Haute's legacy, actually, which goes well with your topic, was that like the railroads all came through Terre Haute, Indiana.
Yeah, nice.
And US Highway 40 came through town, and the railroads all came to Terre Haute and would like switch directions there to go west.
Yeah.
So it was a major trade, first French Canadian fur trade, and then the trains, and then like the highway, highway US 40 that went across the country.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we had in Indiana State had like a great international student, like lots of international students went there.
Cool.
So we did have like an independent coffee. We had like somewhere to get espresso before Starbucks came to town. And we had Chinese food, and we had good food. We had access to good food. Also, I didn't know that garlic and dill were different spices until I went to college. So you live, you learn.
Exactly. That's
Right.
It's the food's always the biggest indicator, of a good like kind of cultural diversity and stuff like that. And I grew up very much like farm town, like we have one stoplight and pizza place, and that's it, in town.
Yeah.
And so I was desperate for art and anything, so it's always stuck in my mind. A lot of the art I have growing up, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's wonderful, but it tends to be very realist and kind of pastoral, not surprising.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that was weird and different was like a mecca for me, and that's probably why that museum stuck out.
Yeah. Anything weird or different was made by my parents.
Really?
Who met in art school.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What do your parents do?
They're both retired now. My mom was a middle school art teacher.
Cool.
And my dad was a house painter and contractor who went to work on he started grad school in his 70s.
Oh my God.
For ceramics.
Oh, that's so cool.
But as a house painter, he became like the go-to guy for faux finishing.
Oh, cool.
When that was super popular in the 90s.
Yeah.
So he can make anything look like marble or leather or granite. So that was how he applied his skills while he was working. And then when you're a senior citizen, you can get $5 credit hours at the local college. And so he spent like 6 or 7 years working towards an MFA.
That's amazing. I love that so much. That's so cool. And is like, did your mom have a medium that she liked?
She is mostly, when I was growing up, acrylics and photography.
Oh, cool.
But she does now like watercolor, collage, oil pastels. So that's my dad is more sculpture stuff, and my mom is more painting and photography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would definitely be one of the kids I was like so jealous. Whenever I saw someone, like even, I like seeing kids from Syracuse and stuff. And Syracuse is a city, but it's not, Manhattan or anything. I was so jealous. You'd be one of those kids I'd be jealous of because I'd be like, I want art.
Yeah. No, we were really lucky. We were given, and I think about it now, like now as an adult, I understand things cost money, but we were never denied access to my mom's acrylics.
Oh, that's cool.
Like if we wanted to paint, we were allowed to use her paint.
That's cool.
We weren't allowed to waste it.
Yeah.
You had to, put it out in small amounts.
Yeah.
But our dad let us use his tools and our mom let us paint. And so we had access to making art like our whole lives, which is very cool. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And they definitely made the weirdest art in my hometown.
I love that.
So I was just telling a friend this story last night, which is my mom did this giant painting. It's like 5 feet by 8 feet, or maybe it's 6 by 10. Huge painting, acrylic, of it's orange and red, and it's 2 women in repose.
Cool.
So it's 2 naked women. It's a figure study. And I thought it was a dragon for years. Years I thought it was a dragon. I might have been like double digits before I realized it was 2 women. But like the joke in my family was like we didn't get a lot of trick-or-treaters because we would open the door and people would see 2 red women, naked women on the, like it was the whole wall. So
That's so great. I love
it's fabulous. Yeah.
I there was a woman like that where I grew up. She used to make you didn't see them, but I went to her house one time and it was all the walls she did like I don't even know what to call it, like sewing art, but they were all like hairy vaginas, like all there were like 1,000 on her wall. I was like, oh my god, okay, all right. So it's just I just think it's, I don't know, it's I love kind of like feminist leaning things too. Like to me, I walked in that room and it felt like kind of not a fuck you, but kind of like a this is what is up, type of thing. And I just loved that. I thought that was so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So good for your mom. Yeah.
Yeah. So Utica had an art museum.
Yeah.
And Victorian houses.
Yes.
And when did you start getting interested in the architecture of the town?
I feel like I was relatively young. Again, even like around where I live and stuff, you'd get every once in a while these kind of Victorian relics. And I think what's kind of cool is I've only ever lived in like apartment buildings or newer houses. When my parents got married, they built a new house and stuff. So I've never lived in like an old house. Everything was 90s or newer. And so I just felt like everything had like something, they feel very magical to me and everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I moved to the city after I graduated college, and then I moved back up in my like late 20s, and I feel like that's when it started getting like hardcore obsessive. So yeah.
Nice. All right. So when you think about Victorian architecture, so are we talking residential or residential and commercial?
Predominantly residential.
Okay.
But I appreciate commercial. I tend to like the details. So if they're more traditional, like the big like stone facing things, they're very grand and everything. But if they don't have some curlicues somewhere, some sculpture, I tend to lose a little bit of interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And are there particular architects in your region that you have identified?
That's a really good one. I can't think of anyone's name, but there is, I will say that in Utica, there's a cemetery towards the back of town. And right now it's by the zoo. Of course, it wasn't there when it was, but it has an entryway, and it's the same guy who designed the entryway to the graveyard in Brooklyn, the really huge Greenwood Cemetery. So if you look that up, it's the same super ornate Gothic, with these huge crosses and these big spires and stuff, but on a smaller scale. So it's almost the same thing. You just squinched it down a little and put it over here. Nice. It's really, that's the only one I can think. I don't know, I've never looked up any architects' names around here, but the one thing that we have in upstate is because of our proximity to the city, a lot of guys did like stuff like a summer home for some rich person up here. A lot of them were further downstate usually. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So lay it on me. 1890s architecture. We're talking houses,
Yeah.
Victorian houses.
Yeah.
What are the things you love to find on those houses? What are your favorite elements? How are you sneaking into them? Like, what ways have you found to sneak into Victorian houses? I want to know all of it.
Well, I've never snuck in. I don't think I have the wherewithal, but I do a lot of creepy, like, driving bys, walking by, staring, and saying, I'm not going to rob you, just appreciating.
Yeah.
But if you're in Utica, for all the listeners in Utica, there's a main street called Genesee Street, and if you go further down towards the water, it reaches the water like a lot of these old towns do. The buildings get crazy, and there's this one veer off towards a little park called Rutgers Park, and there's some really amazing buildings that they do tours of every once in a while. So if you veer to, like, you're heading down Genesee Street, you veer to the right, you can go over to that park and some more residential things. Another really cool building in Utica is if you go to your left downtown, there's a huge psychiatric facility that's just called the Utica, I think, just mental institution. And it was around then. It's super, super old, and it is haunted for sure. If you're in,
Absolutely.
you have to go there. It's so cool. In a and of course, really sad way that this book does, like, explore some elements of institutionalization and stuff, and so there's parts of that in the novel. One claim to fame in Utica is the invention of the Utica crib, which is it's like a crib for a baby, except it has a roof on it. So they look like a coffin, except it has bars on the side of it, basically, so you can see out of it. So that was the big claim to fame from that institution. But it's
but adults would sleep in that.
Or adults would be locked in there. Yeah.
Locked in it.
It's a torture device, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's horrible. But a lot of people went there. Garrett Smith, who's kind of famous. Some people might know he's an abolitionist. He was, like, getting in trouble and everything, and he claimed mental illness to kind of get out of some trouble he got in for a participant on the Underground Railroad and stuff like that. So it had some quote unquote famous people in there. That one's very oh my gosh, if my mom was listening, she'd be ashamed of me, because she knows the names of all the different styles and everything. But it's got the huge columns, and then on the ends they've got these big glass windows. Like, I feel like Victorians are notorious for beautiful sunrooms. You know, I love a sunroom. I love a turret. A turret is like the most
absolutely
beautiful thing ever.
The dream. The dream was a bedroom and a turret.
Anything rounded too, I'm like, this is just magic. A round window, stuff like that. I'm like, this is incredible. This is the best thing ever.
Did you happen to see it's still in some theaters, the movie Life of Chuck?
Life of Chuck? No.
It's a new movie. They advertised it very poorly.
Yeah.
Because Tom Hiddleston is how they advertised it.
Okay.
It's a Stephen King short story.
Oh, cool.
Adapted. But one act of it's a 3-act movie told in reverse. But the house that the kid grows up in has a forbidden room in the turret.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to prescribe Life of Chuck to you.
Oh, cool. I'm definitely going to watch that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what too is, like, maybe because Stuart's, like, kind of like a castle, you know, you've got, like, kind of the little girl castle thing, I guess, but also it's, like, slightly militaristic. It's foreboding, you know, it's like, it's got a little evil, even if it is beautiful.
Right.
You know? So, yeah. I also will say my house that I love so much. Another thing I just love is stained glass windows. I think they're incredible, and I think too, all these little things put together, you just there's nothing even remotely close to it in housing today. There's like no
No.
craftsmanship and everything like that. And you can go to people with like that are super wealthy and go into their house, and they might have really cool things in their house and stuff like that, but it still doesn't have all the like the woodwork and the
Yeah.
there's little stars placed. I don't know how
Yep.
it still has like a kind of a plasticness about it that you don't get with these older homes.
Yeah. In Chicago, there's a lot of 2 flats, 3 flats, 6 flats. Those are a lot of our apartment buildings.
Yeah.
And sometimes they still have the built-ins.
Yeah, I love the built-in.
And I had an apartment, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago where I had like the buffet in the living room, or the buffet in the dining room was still there with the china hutch built into the wall.
That's cool.
And then I had this beautiful huge mirror with 2 columns next to it and like a little bench in front in my living room. Oh, they were fabulous.
It's just little nice. You know what too is kind of, I feel like, a miracle and a special alchemy for these places is that you have to have had a place that had a lot of wealth. So Chicago,
Yep.
Utica at one point.
Yeah.
But then you also have to have this phenomenon where as time goes on, you could sustain a middle class, or in Utica's case, like a level of maybe lower middle class where they couldn't do upgrades, but they could sustain.
Right.
And I feel like the thing with Chicago is not maybe exactly the same, but you had kind of this layer of middle class people that could live around Chicago at one point.
Yeah.
And so you have these cool old houses and stuff like that. And then obviously time changes and people get pushed out further and further away, but you still have these. It takes a special magic, a special, combination of things in order for these things to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Chicago, we don't have Victorian houses because of the Chicago fire.
Right.
Well, wait, let me fact check that. When was the Chicago fire? It was 1870. I think it was 1872.
Oh.
I don't want the soccer team. 1871.
Oh, very close. Yeah.
So 1871, it all burned down and we had to start over.
Yeah.
Like everything was wooden.
Yeah.
And hundreds, thousands of structures burnt down.
Yeah.
And then we restarted and built in concrete and built in brick, and it just completely changed the face of architecture here. So our suburbs have Victorian houses.
Yeah.
That were the weekend homes, the summer homes of people who worked in the city, the wealthy.
Yeah.
But the city just doesn't have them.
Yeah. When I think of Chicago, besides like the stereotypical, like with the river turning St. Patrick's Day and stuff like that, I think of like kind of Art Nouveau-y. So you're on like the other type of, well, when, the fancy buildings and stuff like that. But
yeah.
So that,
well, we had Louis Sullivan and Frank Lloyd Wright and that were here developing their styles of architecture. So we benefited from that, certainly.
It is a beautiful city, but that is true. You don't think of these kind of well, you guys probably way more aware of it than I am, but it's just interesting to think about how these different events shape the city and shape how people live and stuff like that. Yeah.
But I think your point that like the houses are built by very wealthy people, maybe then it's subdivided in the 20th century into a duplex, because like my grandparents' house had 2 staircases. Yeah. And enough bathrooms that had somebody bought it and wanted to turn it into apartments. Yeah. They could have. Yeah. And right. So like people to maintain and not just to look at the house as, oh, that's a tear down, but the land is worth something.
Right. Exactly. My house at one point it was for sale not that long ago, and so there's some like more recent pictures online, but I think at least 4 apartments in there before it sold the last time. So it's there's pluses and minuses to everything, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The other thing I think that's interesting about Victorian architecture is it's kind of similar to Roman ruins.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we think Rome was all white,
Yeah.
like white limestone, but everything was in fact painted really garishly.
Yeah.
Or what we think is garish. It was stylish at the time. But like, they're called painted ladies because they were wild.
Yeah.
Like the paint, and now it's like, oh, well, my HOA doesn't approve that color.
Exactly.
And have lost so much in that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's obviously benefits to it. Things look neat. You don't have someone with a big pile of trash on their front yard or something. You definitely lose this freedom of expression for sure. It's funny too. I find the Victorians so interesting because in my head I had such a laced up, that like very no, you can't show your ankle type of thing, and it's just not the truth. There are so many amazing, like incredibly, just like you're saying, houses painted wild color. Well, one thing that I was interested in when I was doing research for this book was I was like, I never hear about Black people, and I know there were Black people in New York. So I'm like, what? So I researched like neighborhoods they lived in Utica and stuff like that, and how people interacted, and like kind of what was social decorum, were people all interacting, were there segregation, how was, I have no, before like 1940 I had no clear picture of how other people besides white rich families operated in Victorian spaces and stuff. So anyway, I guess just to agree with what you're saying and how much diversity and how far from stereotype people can be. Yeah.
Were you able to find some like letters or journals or things, newspapers that gave you some sense of what was happening?
Yeah, for sure. There were some cool things. A lot of it in the Historical Society tended to be newspapers. There were some kind of firsthand accounts, or people like kind of wrote up like almost mini book reports and stuff, but you always have to take those obviously with you should take everything, even newspapers, with a big grain of salt, as we've all learned in modern times. But it's there were some really cool eye-opening things. One person that I learned a lot about was this guy named I always mix up his name because he's got three names. It's Beverly Pascal Randolph, or Pascal Beverly Randolph. He was this Black occultist that just toured around the Northeast and stuff. And he was in Utica. He wrote one of his big books about it's called Dealings with the Dead. I'm trying to see if I see it on my bookshelf, but it's anyway, I'm just like, look at this guy's incredible life. Like, he had nothing. His parents, his mom died, and he didn't have a dad or something, and then he went off and he was a sailor. He came back and he made his living as like a giving seances and giving speeches and stuff, and he was seen as an expert, and he walked around and did his thing, and he was talking about some really taboo things. And so anyway, you get these little pieces, and nothing's perfectly laid out ever. Yeah. You take these bits and you kind of extrapolate and hopefully do it justice without going too far afield, type of thing. Yeah, it's cool.
That's cool.
I don't know if you feel like that with your education. Like, do you feel like I had a public school education, and I feel like in terms of history, there are just gigantic
huge gaps.
Yeah.
Huge gaps, yeah.
It's and you're just like, oh, you feel kind of stupid, or I feel kind of stupid. Like, you're like, oh, why don't I know anything about Chinese history? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like, what was it? It's just like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
No, and it's, I think, a willingness to learn as an adult that, like, the winners write the history books.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Right.
And the winners are rewriting history books right now.
Right, exactly.
So the deficit of we didn't learn things.
Yeah.
But the deficit coming, I think, is going to be bad.
No, it's true. That's why I mean, not that, my book's going to change the world or anything, but that's why I so believe in small press, because I feel it's just further removed from the constraints of bullshit and
Yeah.
capitalism and stuff like that. So people can talk about things that they want to talk about and explore things. And yeah, I fully agree. It's terrifying,
Yeah.
to say the least. Yeah.
Yeah, I moved recently, and I packed my books first, and COVID, I really wrecked my reading muscles during COVID.
Yeah. It's easy to do.
Yeah. Or during the lockdown. We're still in COVID. So during the lockdown, I just ruined my reading muscles. And so I was a little bit like, I don't know, should I drive around Chicago, find little free libraries, give all my books away? But I'm like, no, physical media is really important. And, I can see you are surrounded by books. It's beautiful to see.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to have physical media, a variety of things, but also I think it is like being an educated person means that you admit that you, like, if you are educated, you are ignorant.
Right.
Right? You know that there are gaps. You know that you have gaps, and you can find them out by travel, by reading, whether it's well-researched books or first-hand accounts or a science fiction show that introduces you to, right? What was maybe science fiction is wrong, but there was that, like, a superhero show that started with the burning of Black Tulsa.
Oh. No.
But people didn't know that, like, the Tulsa, Oklahoma, like the Black Wall Street had been burned down.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we're going to watch this science fiction or superhero. I will fix this in the show notes because people are screaming at me right now.
It's cool. I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of what it is too. Yeah, it's because I think like Tom Hanks, I saw him make a comment where he's like, "Why don't people know about this or something?" And I was like, "Oh, because no one that's not in the curriculum." No one teaches this. Yeah. Yeah.
What show? Well, so now there's like other.
Oh, trying to come up with it too.
The Watchmen.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But right, like well-written genre, right? Sinners, a great example of like genre.
Yeah.
Vampire historical fiction that introduced all of us to, like, what did any of us know about Chinese grocery stores in Mississippi?
Right. Exactly.
Nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Just erasing whole different parts of people's existence and stuff.
Yeah.
I think you can learn all sorts of ways too. I've learned things from like Futurama and The Simpsons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't have to like blow your mind. I think one of the hardest things, I do think there's a contingent of people who are just like do not want to be called ignorant on anything and they have to have an answer for everything, which I always find it to be the weirdest human phenomenon to like have to have an answer for every single thing. It's like I always default to like, what am I missing here? I'm sure I'm missing something. But I think it's hard for people to admit that. And I think it's hard too, don't you, to know when you don't know something.
Absolutely.
You just sit there and oh wait, I realize I've never learned about Black people in in Victorian times or about gay people, and it's
right.
You'll hear people of like my mom's generation, well, gay people weren't really around at that time. And I was like, well, that's not true.
Right.
It's like you just weren't seeing them represented, or you know what I mean, or weren't cognizant of people that were being represented. So yeah, I think it's I don't know what I'm saying. I guess I'm just saying there's two things at play here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We watched an amazing documentary at work for Pride that I will link to in the show notes. It was a PBS documentary about when they removed being gay from the DSM. So when they removed being homosexual as a mental illness.
Right.
And the bureaucracy within the American Psychiatric Association, the meetings, the Robert's Rules of Order to get it to a vote, and the activism, and that was in the 70s.
It's crazy.
It's not ancient history.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm a real big proponent of like neurodiversity and stuff like that. And I feel like there's so much ties to the gay movement in general and the gay pride movement and freedom from these kind of stigmas and everything. I think, oh shoot, I had a point here, but I just think it's incredible.
Yeah.
And so disturbing.
Yeah.
It's so disturbing. Oh, I know what I was going to say. When I work in higher ed, so I'm around a lot of younger people, and it's just funny because like I feel in certain spaces queer identity is more accepted than it's ever been before. And I want to be like I remember it's only been, what's it been, like 10 years that gay marriage has been legal, you know? Yeah. It's incredible. It's now, the past is right there. It's right an inch behind us, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was yammering, but it's so powerful and important.
Yeah. But I love that you said, hey, I know there were Black people here. Let me find out. Let me learn more while I edit the next version of the book to make sure that I'm representing more of the slice of life. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really cool to just to, again, see different types of people who they're just people, those people, it's just, we're all the same up here. And it's like, well, that's not true. And, you know, so it's just kind of these false narratives that are interesting to uncover, you know, in any way you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Nice.
And weird.
Is there anything about your Victorian houses?
Yes.
That you haven't said that you'd be so sad if we closed without you saying it?
Oh my gosh. Just that I think if there's anyone listening who's like, I just feel like people making things is so important. I guess that's it. I think that's why, that's one of the hard, you get such a beautiful thing by adding, you've got one circle here, you add 6 more circles and all of a sudden it's something really beautiful and stuff. And I think there's such value in a handmade thing, even if it's super tiny, a little crocheted, you know, pot holder or something like that. It just means more. And I get so afraid we're losing handmade things, human-made things. So I just want to put it out. Make things, people. It's so important. So yeah.
So there is I want to find it in Hebrew. There's a concept in Judaism called Hidur Mitzvah. So mitzvah is a commandment. And Hidur Mitzvah is the act of making a mitzvah more beautiful.
Oh, cool.
Right? So we're supposed to light candles on Shabbat on Friday night. So you should make your candlesticks more beautiful.
Yeah.
You cover your bread before you say the blessings before the dinner, but you should make the bread cover, the challah cover should be beautiful.
Yeah.
And so it's a whole tradition in Judaism is exactly what you're saying, is to make the ordinary more special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best part about being alive. Don't you feel like there's life so shitty and hard in so many ways? You make something a little beautiful, it just makes things feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. A good lesson to take from our Victorian predecessors.
Exactly. I feel like it's so deep It's like so nice. I feel like crying a little. It's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, what am I doing tonight? I'm like, maybe I need to dig out. I moved. Like, do I know where my candlesticks are? No, but maybe that's what I need to do tonight is like light my Shabbat candles and really think about that. I think it's important.
Yeah. Appreciate them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jesi, where can people find you on the internet?
Yes, I have my websites, jesibender.com. I spell Jesi weird, Jesi Bender. It'll get auto-corrected to Jedi Bender. And then I'm on Instagram. I'm happy. I love talking to people, so
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then your novel, Child of Light, available from Whiskey Tip Press. People should join you August 24th at Buffalo Street Books in Ithaca. Yeah. September 9th at the KGB Bar in New York. And check your website for more updates.
Cool.
So Finding Favorites, you can find us wherever you find podcasts. Please rate and review 5 stars, recommend to your friends, leave a positive review. If it helps the big podcasts that beg for reviews every week, it helps the little podcasts too. With that, get your COVID booster and keep enjoying your favorite things. Thank you so much, Jesi.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Finding Favorites with Leah Jones. Please make sure to subscribe and drop us a 5-star review on iTunes. Now, go out and enjoy your favorite things.